Welcome back for chapters 5 and 6 of The Whipping Boy. Chapter 5. Hold Your Nose, Billy, and Cutwater. Billy pulled Prince Brat from the saddle and threw him into Jemmy. Raising the lantern, the man held it close enough that Jemmy could feel the heat of the flame. Billy was a big man, he saw, big and raw as a skinned ox, and he smelled like a ton of garlic. "Not much of a catch, 2 sparrows," said Billy. "But ain't they trimmed up in fancy rags, Cutwater?" "Ain't they?" echoed the rattle-boned man. "Got any gold in your pockets, lads?" "No business of yours," snapped the prince. "Ah, but so help me, it is my business," Billy said with a thunderclap of laughter. "Don't you know who I am?" "A clod and a ruffian," declared the prince. "Worse than that," corrected the big man. "Ain't you never heard of Hold Your Nose, Billy?" "Famous he is," put in Cutwater. "Put to song is Billy." Jemmy thought he remembered. Hadn't he heard ballad sellers fling that name about the streets? The exploits of Hold Your Nose something or other in verses by the yard. "The highwayman, are you?" "The same." "The murderer?" "Only in the line of duty," Hold Your Nose Billy chuckled. "So you won't mind if we take your horse and empty your pockets." "Not a copper between us," said Jemmy. A prince didn't carry money, for he had no use for it, and Jemmy's accounts were kept on books. "What's in the basket?" piped up Cutwater. "Hands off, villain," snapped Prince Brat. "Don't you know who I am?" Jemmy gave the prince a sudden jab of his elbow to keep his mouth shut. Not a word. But the heir to the throne raised himself to his full height. "Bow to your prince." Fog swirled around the lantern. "Bow to what?" asked Cutwater. "I am Prince Horace." "And I'm the Grand Turnip of China," Cutwater snickered. "Dim-witted villains," shouted the prince. "I command you to turn us loose, or Papa will hang the pair of you in chains." "Hold your trap," Jemmy thought. "Don't you have a thimbleful of brains? A prince would make a fine catch for these rogues." "Me friend's muddle-headed," he declared. "His paw's nothing but a rat catcher, but don't he put on airs, though." "Got enough lip for 2 sets of teeth," chortled the big highwayman. "Cutwater, take the lantern and fetch the horse." "What do you reckon's in the basket, Billy?" "Plenty of time to find out." The lantern floated off. The evil-smelling Billy clutched each boy hard by the ear. "Stir your legs, walk, and don't let me catch you on our turf again. Do I make myself clear?" "Clear as window glass," said Jemmy with a sigh of relief. "If you'd be kind enough to point us toward the river, I'd be ever so much obliged." "Billy!" came a shout from Cutwater. "They ain't just common sparrows. Have a look at this saddle." Hold Your Nose Billy hung on to the boy's ears. At the horse's side, Cutwater was holding the lantern close to the saddle. "Skin me alive," declared the big man in awe. "That's the king's own crest." "We stole it, horse and saddle," Jemmy put in desperately. "Bosh," retorted Prince Brat scornfully. "Didn't I tell you who I was? Bow low, you fools, and be off." But the 2 men neither bowed nor fled. Hold Your Nose Billy threw a bushy-eyed glance at his fellow outlaw. "Cutwater, what do you reckon a genuine prince on the hoof is worth?" "His weight in gold at least, Billy." Chapter 6. In which the plot thickens. Wisps of fog clung like tattered rags to the trees, and then the forest cleared, but so thick were the pines that the morning sun barely touched the ground. Hold-your-nose Billy pushed aside a low branch, revealing a rickety timbered hut with a moldy thatched roof. "There's our castle, your young majesty," he said, chuckling. "Accept our hospitality. I hope you won't mind sleeping on the floor." The floor was hard-packed earth. Braided garlic bulbs hung like knotted ropes from the rafters. "I'm hungry," announced Prince Brat. "And feast you will," said Hold-your-nose Billy. "Cutwater, serve 'em up our finest bread and herring." Jemmy had made many a meal on bread and herring when he was in luck and felt hungry enough to ask for seconds. Prince Brat bared his teeth. "I'd sooner eat mud." He reached for the wicker basket, but Cutwater snatched it back. "What we got here?" muttered the bone-thin man and threw back the lid. "Roll your eyes at this, Billy. Meat pies, looks like, and fruit tarts, and a brace of roast pheasant. We'll eat like kings." "Hands off, that's mine," the princess cried out. "Was yours," yapped Cutwater. Locks, Jemmy thought. Hadn't the prince run away in royal style? He'd even brought a china plate, a silver spoon, and a silver knife for himself. Digging around deeper in the basket, the garlicky outlaw called out to Cutwater, "Bring the lantern closer." "What's this?" In the gloom of the hut, the big man lifted out a golden crown. "That's mine," bleated the prince. "Was yours," corrected Hold-your-nose Billy, placing the crown on the tangled red nest of his hair. "Prince Hold-your-nose Billy," Cutwater burst out joyously. He began to scratch himself as if his shirt were crawling with fleas, which Jemmy thought it probably was. "We're dog rich." "That crown? A trifle," scoffed Hold-your-nose Billy. "We can be richer'n dog rich." The empty-headed prince, Jemmy thought. Why had he brought along his crown? To cock it on his own head and expect vagabonds and cutthroats to fall to their knees? The big, raw-faced outlaw grabbed Prince Brat off the ground and took the heft of him as if he were weighing a sack of potatoes. 55 pounds by my reckoning," he said. "We'll write the king a command, Cutwater. 55 pounds of gold coin in trade for his royal tadpole." And that is the end of chapter 6. See you soon.